All right, everybody, welcome to the Consecrate podcast. Today we have a guest who has really overcome a lot of things in his life. He has been through almost every hardship that I can imagine, and I really wanted to get him on here. And so, why don't you introduce yourself to the people?
Yeah, my name Taurus. I'm 36 years old, convicted felon. Originally out of
Well,
Miami, Florida. Reside right now in Alabama. As you can see, I'm a truck driver, so I defeated the odds.
yeah, that's where I wanted to go with this. Is like, tell us kind of like where you're at today. What is life like for you now? And then we'll kind of unpack and rewind and go back a ways into your life. But where are you at today?
Life for me today, it's very challenging. Like right now, it's just like I'm just trying to solve a puzzle. Just a puzzle just been set in front of me. Never done a puzzle a day in my life. I say that to say because I was 18 years old when I committed my crime, when I got incarcerated. I spent 17 years from that point, going through hardship, making transitions with my life, up on my head, you know, falling down, getting back up again. So I got to this point when I was released year before last. I've been out over a year, last year, yeah, year before last, and I obtained my CDLs while I was incarcerated. That's my career right now. I'm excelling in it really well, but just figuring out this landscape of the trucking world. But other than that, like I said, life has its challenges. For somebody that parts of my life in my 20s, and that usually in that point of life you start to fill out life, and I wasn't able to do that, so I'm doing it now. But I mean, just good for me over the years, just gaining a lot of patience and knowledge and wisdom and understanding of stuff is helping me out on my journey. And plus, I got a great support system, so it's not like I'm out here alone. It's just even still, it's my life, so I have to make my way. I have to solve it myself. People can give me their
Yes.
point of view, but at the end of the day, I still got to make decisions that's best for me. You know, and I follow my heart, and it's been leading me in a good direction. So I feel good about where I'm at right now. Sometimes I beat myself up because I feel like I should be further off, but in reality, I'm at a great place.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like you've been out for such a short time after doing like basically half your life in a penitentiary. And for those of you who
Yeah.
don't know, Taurus here did his time in Alabama. And for those of you guys that are watching my podcast from other parts of the country, like in the West Coast or the Northwest, Alabama doesn't have air conditioning in their prisons. And so
No.
when I found that out, uh, yeah, I realized that it could always be worse.
Oh yeah.
So I guess kind of, you're working, you're a truck driver now. A lot of guys get out and they don't make something of themselves. And so what I really admire about you is that you got out and right away started working, executed a game plan and went for it. And so, props to you, bro.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of go back and like rewind a little bit. What was your childhood like? You grew up in Miami. Do you come from a single or were both your parents in the picture?
Nah, my dad left the picture way before. Yeah, they weren't together when I was born. So yeah, my dad was he was on drugs, typical for a black man back in the day, abusive. He wasn't a good person at that point of time in life. I can't say the same thing about him now because he's become just like me. It took time, but he did make the right transition in life, and start seeing things from a different point of view. So I can say he's a father now. But to speak more on that, yeah, I was raised just with my mom, and we grew up in a close knit house. It was like maybe 8 of us in one house. We was cool. It was fun growing up. I
Big
had
family.
my aunties, and yeah, it was a big family. I had my aunties, cousins, sisters, and brothers. Everybody played their role, and when it was time to get disciplined, we got disciplined. They made sure we had what we needed. Everyone that was able to work. And like I said, it was a joyful time in my life growing up. It came to a point when I was probably second grade, something like that. I don't really know. But my mom ended up getting sick, and long story short, we ended up moving. because she needed medical help. And my auntie, it was her house that we were living in, and her job transferred to another part of Florida. So we ended up moving with her. And I think at that time, that's when my life took a turn unknowingly for the future in the worst way because I was detached from my whole entire family. So it was just me, my mom, and my auntie. And at that point in time, my mom was 38 when she had me, and my auntie is like maybe a year or two older than my mom. So just imagine, what I'm saying, me growing up and they already older, and
Yeah. My parents were the
yeah,
same way.
it was kind of hard for them to raise a male. My auntie don't have any kids, so she not real familiar with that aspect of just raising a child, which she did raise her, in a sense, but not entirely like a mother would, or what I'm saying? So that it was difficult for him because I started not knowing at the time, like I started resenting not being around my family. Looking back at it today, it created a lot of anger in me. I never disrespected my mom. I never disrespected my auntie or anything, but that my anger and my emotions kind of led me astray. Being a male, not having no male figure growing up to kind of give you guidance. Someone you
Yeah.
can sort of like mimic as a what I'm saying, as a child, or when you get into a teenager and adolescent. I didn't have that. What I'm saying? So it's like when I got to that age, I started understanding. I was more curious about life, and then like watching TV or going outside my environment and seeing the things that I was seeing. I started mimicking the wrong things, like I said, because I didn't have that influence growing up. So from that point, we moved to Alabama. That's how we ended up in Alabama. My auntie job moved. We ended up in Alabama, and then the place that we ended up in, it wasn't so great of an environment for a person, for a young male that was already bothered by not having, that father figure or not
Yeah.
having any type of male around. And like I said, I got to a point where like all my people that I was looking up to was outside my door or on media or music videos.
Yeah. The
And I
influences that you were
started,
choosing,
yeah, it was, it changed my mindset. Like,
kind of like sorry to interrupt you, but I'm
yeah, go ahead.
thinking as I've been listening to you for a second to kind of maybe go back to this. So what I heard you say was like, I didn't have a male figure. And so would you agree or disagree? Like you're learning how to regulate your emotions and all of your thought processes through your mother, like through, you're going through life and you're regulating them based on how you've been taught. And that's with
Yeah,
with a single mother. And I think
single
one
mother.
thing that
Yeah,
I think what I've noticed with my son, my oldest son, is kind of the same thing. And I've noticed
yeah,
that in him where he's like, something tough comes along, because I'm not
mm,
always there, he's learning to regulate his emotions just like his mother would.
yeah.
And so I completely understand what you're saying there. But to get back to where you're at, like you said that you're starting to get influenced by everything outside of your home and not having a male figure around.
Yeah,
So now
that's
you're in
correct.
Alabama.
Yeah, I'm in Alabama.
What
I
was that like? Like, what was the move like when you were there? Where did you grow up in Alabama when you moved there?
Yeah, so it's a place with people and whoever listening, if y'all have been in Alabama or anywhere, they call it Birmingham. They call it like the west side of Birmingham, man.
I know where
It could
that
be,
is.
yeah, it could be treacherous, man. And like it's full of it's environment full of drugs, gang banging, you name it, man.
Well, almost everything, like when growing up here in the Northwest, like all the music videos and popular music that come from the South, like
Hmm.
we would glorify it and we'd like really feel the music. But then when I moved to the South, and especially I'm familiar with like the Ensley area of Birmingham and
Yeah,
Bessemer and all them areas,
yeah,
people
that's
have
not
no
too far.
idea. Yeah, they think that there's ghetto up here and hood. It's
Yeah,
not even the same. It's not even close
yeah.
to the same. So that's where you grew up,
Yeah, not Ansley, but just basically the west side. It's a little place
like the West
called
End, or
Forestdale, Pratt City.
yeah, I know
So
exactly
if
where that
anybody
is.
listen, they know how it can get. So yeah, man. And so yeah, I started hanging out. First a child. wasn't too much wrong with it. Wasn't at the time, wasn't, like, I'm seeing the stuff, but I wasn't initiating it, like being around it. I mean, I was around it, but
Not participating.
I wasn't participating. I was still a child. But as I got older, you know what I'm saying? And some of the people that I knew, they got introduced to a lifestyle probably a little sooner than I did. You know what I'm saying? A little earlier than I did. So it's like now me hanging around them and we chilling every day. So it's like they influences and now they habits are making its way towards me. And now I'm directly seeing it. You know what I'm saying? So like it's like now, you know, young, immature, still curious of being a follower, and want to be that cool. So now I done started moving towards that direction in life, started smoking weed. Well, first it was like smoking cigarettes. Started doing that, started smoking weed, you know what I'm saying? And
When did that start? Like,
there you
what
go.
age did you ever first use drugs or alcohol?
But man, I was probably about 13,
Man,
maybe
you know what?
12, something like that.
You know what's crazy? Every person that including myself, almost every person that's about the age, especially the
Yeah,
guys, that
yeah.
they get started in that. It's kind of crazy.
Like, man, you can go so deep with this conversation, man, because I don't know, man. It's just the environment, bro. It's like it's hard. Like, I know a lot of people. Like I got family members that was kind of raised in the same part that I was in. Just that lifestyle never influenced them. You know what I'm saying? Like they may have probably did something, but the experience wasn't good to them, and they you know, didn't like it. And they no longer hung around up people. They started doing things better. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, I don't know, man. Just like, yeah, I guess it's just a person, man, that just easily at that point of time in their life, just easily influenced by stuff, man. And like
Yeah.
I said,
I'm a big believer, Taurus, that like I feel like I relate to that. Like when I was a young man, when we start doing wrong, it's like we become the followers and we're the ones that are being influenced to do
hmm
these things, right? And I'm a big believer, like what you just mentioned, that people can come from the same neighborhood and have drastically different results. The same
yeah,
environment or even the same family and have drastically different results
different
because
result.
of, I think the bottom line is choices.
Yeah.
And everybody has them and everyone has maybe different factors.
Mm.
And I don't think when you're a young man, you don't understand. Would you agree with this? You don't understand the consequences of your decisions. And so
No, you don't.
when you add alcohol and drugs into the mix, you just, yeah, it's like it gets hectic
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I
because
know,
your
man,
brain's not even developed.
yeah, you're not. So now it's showing up not developing when you done put this poison in you. You know what I'm saying? So, but I remember, man, when I was incarcerated, I had a counselor, and you would hear people say experience is the best teacher. And he was like, that's definitely that's not the answer. He said, if it, 'cause this our motto, he was like, he can, when he was younger, he would watch people and see, that was his experience watching people mess up, and he knew not to do it. Like he knew with if I do this, I see the consequences that just happened. I see the trouble that it just got in doing this. I know if I do this too, 9 out of 10, I'm gonna have the same result. So you learn your experience from other people, not going through it, learning from somebody else that done been through it. Take heed to what they done been through, so you know what not to do. You know what I'm saying? So and it's
Yeah.
like after that, like that it stuck to me. And he once told me, he said, if you show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And when he told me that, like my capacity of my brain just like it seemed like it just opened up so much. And I started taking heed to it, and I started literally letting people go because I knew I had to. In order for me to get where I was trying to get in life, some folks might not understand it. Some folks might be hurt. Some folks might feel betrayed. But at the end result of my life is to be the best version of myself that I can possibly be. Letting go of old lifestyle that's not gonna do nothing but keep setting me back. Hey, I'm willing to let that go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm sorry to keep rewinding this, but like
Oh, go ahead.
where at what point, so when was like did you get involved in so you got involved in drugs, out probably drinking, right? And Did you get involved in the gang culture? When did you first get locked up? Like what? Tell me how. What
I was
led to you doing 17 years in prison? Kind of unpack that. How did we get there?
Yeah, so yeah, I joined the gang, especially like around the time, around the area that we live in. It's like pretty much disciple heaven. So I joined the disciple gang when I was younger,
The
doing stupid
Forks.
stuff. Yeah, folks. Yeah, but yeah, so joining that and like being around that influence. So like we just started hanging more around in the streets and stuff like that. That was pretty much like all she wrote, man. Started carrying guns or started being in school. Like that was one thing about me when I was in school, man. I was fighting a lot. That was one of my big things. Like you couldn't really look at me the wrong way. You couldn't say nothing to me or try to make jokes on me. Like first thing I know is just strike a fight with you. And so like it started from that to the point where I stopped going to school. My time was spent doing drugs or drinking stuff like that, and being more into the streets. And I guess as I got a little older, man, like I wasn't working in anything like that, so but I was still young. And then like my parents started seeing my behavior, so the little allowance and stuff that they was giving me, I wasn't getting no more. And then not wearing the best of clothes. Want you going to school, middle school, high school, you want to look a certain way. Girls start to become more of a reality to you. So now you out hunting women, trying to be with this girl, trying to be with this girl, or trying to press this girl. So you want to look a certain way, have a certain pair of shoes, and
Yeah,
the norm of a
yeah.
child. So that led to doing criminal stuff like far as like and my thing was like robbery or breaking in houses and stuff like that. And that was a big thing for me and the guys that I knew. Because on my case, it was two guys. It was three of us all together. So, yeah, that's how that lifestyle turned out for me. And we had was a chain of robberies that we went on, and a lot of them we didn't get caught for. Some, what I'm saying, we got charged for. A lot of, now go ahead.
When you say robbery, so explain that, like, you went
Like,
on a spree and you, like,
yeah,
broke into people's house and, like, held them at gunpoint, or, like, were you strong arm robbing people? Like, what
both.
was both? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it was
now
both.
that's great. Yeah, breaking into someone's house and holding them at gunpoint, it's like, that's pretty
Yeah,
like
that's
Grand
right.
Theft Auto status. And
Yeah,
the one thing I was listening as I was listening to you that I could, like, kinda hit a nerve in me was, when you join a gang, it's almost like, there's one thing, a difference between I'm smoking weed, your level of going to the penitentiary is like way down here. As soon as you join a
yeah,
gang and then you're engaging in all those activities, it's almost like you have like 100% chance of getting caught up or getting shot or something. And it
yeah,
sounds like that's what happened.
yeah,
So
pretty much.
you went on this spree to try to, and you're trying to get the, Jordans. I can relate to that. Like, I want to look tight, I
Hmm.
want to look good. Who wants to show up to school, wearing, some and ones or something, right? So
Yeah.
you're trying to get, yeah. So that totally makes sense to me. But you start hitting licks basically, and you hit a bunch of them. How did you get caught up though? How did you get caught?
Okay, so like we that story that's crazy, but so God that I was one of the guys that's on the case, we ended up getting jammed up in the area that he's from, and some of the robberies, like the one of the robbery that we got jammed up on, my guy was literally like doing stuff on his own, like in his complex. That was the crazy part about it, and it was in his complex. And then one day, I, we just went over there. I don't know nothing about none of this stuff that's going on. I don't know that you didn't, you over here robbing folks by yourself, man. So we go over there one day. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so we go over there one day, and then
The spot is
we
hot.
go. It's hot. Like we go over there, go into his apartment, and leave outside the apartment. Some of the girls that was staying like down the way, we went over there to talk to them. Left from over there, as we were walking back to his apartment, walking back upstairs, Homewood, like I feel like the whole precinct of Birmingham, Homewood was there. They was in everything, man, motorcycles, everything, bro. Like they literally had the whole complex surrounded. Even had the maintenance people ride around on golf carts. Like it was a whole setup. They would waiting for him to come back home. So, we they locked us up that day, and then we got, of course we got charged for the robbery. and other robberies. A lot of the robberies, some of them we did,
Oh, I
you
lost
know,
you there.
and some of them we didn't do. Like this, that's like what happened. Like this, how that, like, just say it was a bunch of robberies that happened in that area, but they haven't closed the case on it, or they haven't found anybody responsible for it. They'll just throw it on. They'll just throw it on you. This is how Alabama works. They'll throw it, those springs of robbery.
All right, go ahead. Continue your.
Yeah, where I left off at.
So the police show up, like
Oh
the
yeah.
maintenance guy on golf carts.
Yeah, so they yeah, of course we got locked up that day. It was October the 10th. I never remember that day. October the 10th, 2007. Got locked up. I don't even remember. I think we got charged with like 7 robberies at the time
Wow.
when initially when I first got locked up, we got charged with 7 robberies.
Well, when you saw that, like, what went through your mind? Like when you first got your paperwork and you knew what you're being charged with, you're like, what went through your mind?
I can't really say what went to my mind because I was oblivious of the law. I didn't know. I mean, I knew I was in trouble because I was locked up, but that was my first time being locked up as an adult. My
When you
my
were set.
juvenile,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I got charged as an adult at 17, but I already kind of. If I can go back a little bit, I already had a little. I was locked up as a juvenile. I got locked up twice as a juvenile, but and that was for like fighting in school and stuff, thought cases and stuff like that. So I was already at a young age introduced to justice systems.
My guess is like me, one time I was like 17, almost turning 18, and so I thought that I was going to do juvenile time, and I
Hmm.
ended up getting a whole year in the adult jail
Yeah,
instead of like 4 months in juvie or something, right? And so
yeah,
I could understand that you're probably thinking, well, I'm in trouble, but I'm a juvenile, I'm gonna be all right.
yeah.
Is that what
I
you
mean,
mean?
because well, no, it's just I didn't know. Like
You didn't.
I didn't know the outcome. Like I said, I just knew that I was in trouble because I was, locked up because I didn't have a lawyer. I had a court appointed lawyer, so like it wasn't at that point of time when I first found out. Like it wasn't nothing said to me about this and that. So, but when I eventually got the lawyer and, like, I mean, like this court appointed. So just know most court appointed lawyers does not have your best interest. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I tell anybody, man, like I don't suggest nobody to be living an antisocial lifestyle where you're a lawbreaker and you just want to do what you want to do. I don't suggest that because it ain't nothing but bad results. But if you do, and that's just where you at right now in life, learn the law. Because if you don't, you just screwed. But anyway, yeah, I didn't know anything about the law. Yeah, you screwed.
Like
I ain't know nothing.
it's like it's almost like, okay, so once I started being in the revolving door enough times, I started that exact same thing. I started learning the law and realizing, like, the first plea bargain they send me, that's like kind of high, compared to what the sentencing guidelines say, but
Yep,
they don't give you access to the law library. They don't teach you. And you probably like you said, you shouldn't be messing around and getting in trouble, but if you are, you're gonna it does, because at the end of the day, what I learned is it's more like, yeah, it's about justice, but it's more about getting you to plead guilty. It's like a
yeah,
negotiation
yeah,
once you get
pretty much.
locked up. And
Yeah,
so
pretty much.
the best thing you can do is try to get the best deal for yourself. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, a lot of guys, especially if it's your first time in the adult system, you don't really know better.
you don't have a clue.
Because I've fought like an assault one case with a deadly weapon enhancement all the way down to like the lowest, like class C felony assault,
Hmm.
and the difference in times is quite a bit, you know,
Yeah,
and if you don't fight it, like you're gonna get the maximum. So anyway, that's something that I was thinking when you were saying that.
yeah. So, like I said, I didn't know anything about the law. I had a black court appointed lawyer too. So, like when he met with me and met my family, he sold himself like he was gonna work for us. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I believed it because, like I said, I didn't know anything. I've never been in this position in a day of my life, so
Dang.
I believed it. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it was two other guys on the case with me. But just waiting, just waiting on a court. They had a little preliminary hearing and all that kind of stuff like that. They told us what we were charged with, blah, 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 blah. Pled not guilty, blah, blah. So, like I said, me not knowing anything, immediately my lawyer filed for like a fast and speedy trial, and that screwed me because now I couldn't play the waiting game with him. And then like, okay, so I'm not gonna even sit here tell a story. Like I was like at that time, if I'm looking back at it, that court system is like it's like uh poker or something like that. They bluffed me. You know what I'm saying? Like they hit me with something. They hit me with a number, and the way the judge was stern about it, because the judge that I had, she was known for slaughtering whoever come to her court. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I was a young person, didn't know nothing. So like I said, he did a fast and speedy trial, and what made it more quicker to go to trial instead of me just, waiting it out and allowing them to just over time drop the charges. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't pleading or nothing. But like if they do like fast and speedy trials, you only have so many times to not plead, or they're gonna strike it up for trial. So when I went in, and the lady told me, she was like, if they offered me 20 years off the rip. So
Oh
she was like, she said, if you take this to trial, you gonna get 99 of life. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie. I believed every word she said. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just, you could just feel she was telling the direct truth. Long story short, I ended up pleading out to the 20 years
my
because I
gosh.
just felt like that was the best option. You know what I'm saying? Like my whole family was there. I'm looking back at them because I'm like, bro, ain't no way that I can go to this trial and get 99 of life in prison. Man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna suck it up and just take 20 years, which all of us end up getting 20 years. All of us got
Wow.
20 years, and then they end up making
Can I ask you?
parole. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask you a question? Do
Yeah,
you
I'm listening.
feel that sentence would fit the crime?
If you go by their law, yeah. But if you just go by, what I feel like is right, morally right, I don't feel like it is to give somebody take 20 years of somebody's life away, which I can understand. Like, yeah, I put somebody at that time, I put somebody's life in harm. I mean, wasn't nobody hurt or anything like that. But I took somebody's belongings. But I
Yeah.
don't think it was necessary for 20 years,
It,
especially when I done seen worse crimes than mine.
yeah.
Uh, People
Hundred
get
percent.
lesser sentences. So
100%.
yeah. So like, if I look at it from that aspect, nah, I definitely don't think
Personal
you treat.
opinion on a side note, like I think that you could have got a better deal.
Yeah,
I'm not justifying, criminal behavior at all, but I've had my fair share. But I
yeah,
do think, yeah, they that was an
yeah. They real.
injustice.
They railroad. They railroad. But it's
But
all
what
good. But
what I
go
admire
ahead.
is you taking it on the chin and doing your time. And here you are today. It's not like you're making a ton of excuses or playing the victim card. I don't sense
Yeah.
that about you at all. So
Nah.
hats off to you, man. So they ended up getting 20, and then you said something about parole.
Yeah, like they upon, I guess you say, good behavior, or just the right time of the system when they was letting people out. That I can go, I can, man, I can tell you, I can go to a whole nother story about Alabama prison system. But anyway, yeah. So
I've heard about
either
it.
they, either they was had good behavior, they had good behavior at the right time. I say that they ended up making parole because like my first 6 years I was still troublesome. Like I was still rebellious, still, you know, thinking I can do what I want to do, how I want to do it, when I want to do it, and it set me back.
Well, 20 years is like basically a life sentence. So I'm sure a lot of guys, when you went in there, were you just pissed at the world and just like you just fell into the prison politics, or what was those
I
first
just
6 years like?
I just fell into back what I was doing when I was on the street. I only did what 10 months in counties. My mind frame ain't changed. You know what I'm saying? Mind frame probably just got worse than it was. I started like care even more at that time. You know what I'm saying? But in 20 years, I feel like a 20-year sentence to me back then when I first got it, I felt like I was never getting out. So it wasn't no like, oh well, I'm just gonna straighten up right now. Nah, I'm gonna still go live how I've been living. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Yeah.
basically how that was.
What you said you were pretty troublesome during those first 6 years. What are some of the things that you got involved in? Like what are some of the bad decisions that you made during those 6 years that and
Yeah,
the
I was.
consequences?
Yeah. So what? Number one, just got in. Got around gang members of the disciple when I was in there, and they had like structures and stuff. They would have. We all know pretty much our daily life is around each other, but it ain't nothing but illegal activity, selling drugs, robbing people in there, extortion, all kind of stuff. Like, that's pretty much how that went, and doing drugs and stuff like that.
Were you involved in any violence in there?
Yeah, yeah. I've had fights. I've had fights in there. I've been stabbed, had to stab someone. A lot of these, majority of like me getting stabbed and having to stab someone had nothing to do with me just initiating violence. It was more so uh threat being, threat coming to me, and I just had to defend myself. So
Tell me about that if you don't mind. Like,
yeah,
I've been a victim of gun violence, and I've also, ironically, I got stabbed when I was like in school. But what is being stabbed like? Like, how did that happen to you? Because
yeah,
that sounds like horror right there for people that have never been to prison. Even it makes me irk, because if someone came at me in the joint and like was trying to stab me, like I would be fearful of my life. It would be traumatic. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
what happened?
yes. One incident when I did get stabbed, it wasn't too bad. It was just with a little ice pick, but I'll tell you the story though. But yeah, I thought,
Let
incidents with an ice pick. Yeah. So, but both of the guys that I thought I thought we was all cool. Well, anyway, who I knew, he was from another part of Alabama, but what I'm saying, you're doing time with people, so you start, you get to hanging around, get to knowing them, you think everything cool. So anyway, I had borrowed some cigarettes from him, and like it never been an issue. Like one thing, everybody always knew if I, what I'm saying, if I was to ever get something from y'all, or, I'm gonna pay you back. Just so happened around the time that I had borrowed some cigarettes from him. I wasn't able to pay him back the time that I told him. You know what I'm saying? But he knew I was good for it. But I didn't never understood to this day like what made him get on that level. But it's probably just who he was. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. I thought when I let him know, hey man, I ain't gonna be able to pay you so and so, so and so. I'm thinking everything will be all right. I was in my cell, come out my cell. He was waiting outside the cell, and he just, started attacking me. He got me twice, like both like right here somewhere. It's a little mark right here, and then he got me up on my underarm. But I got the best of him in the whole situation. He poked me, but I got the best of him. He
Oh, you
wasn't
knitted them up.
expecting. Oh yeah, I didn't stab him anything. I didn't because I didn't know this was happening. I just had my fist. But he didn't think that I was gonna do, because most of the time,
Fight back.
yeah, most of the time guys are, I mean, they gonna some fight back. I know a lot of dudes gonna fight back, but I guess he read me wrong. He thought I was gonna run. He thought he was gonna make a fool out of me. You know what I'm saying? But that wasn't the case. So
So you didn't know you were being stabbed. You just thought he was
no, I
attacking
didn't.
you, and you out
No, I know
of
I was being
instinct.
stabbed.
Oh,
I
you
knew I was
did.
being stabbed. Yeah. I just didn't know,
And you're like,
like, I
what?
didn't know, like, when I left out my cell that he had
That
these
he was
ill
going to stab
intentions.
you.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
I mean, I
crazy,
thought we was
bro.
all right. I thought we
Dude,
was
that's
all right.
crazy.
Yeah, I thought we was all right, man. But obviously we wasn't.
And I
But the
feel
only,
like I've heard so many stories. It's always over ramen noodles or coffee or the day room stinger to heat water or a microwave. You can think of almost any reason to fight in there. A chair, someone sitting down,
anything.
anything, man. So that to me is like when I was a kid, I remember I'd been to juvenile a bunch, and I remember watching this program on TV about this guy that stabbed somebody to death in a Utah prison, and
Hmm.
they showed the graphic content of them stabbing this guy like 50 times until he died. And I
Yeah.
remember getting on my knees. It made me sick to my stomach. And I remember getting on my knees praying, like, God, I pray that I'm never in a situation like that. And I ended up going to prison 3 times after that.
Yeah.
And that was always like one of my biggest fears. Like I got in a gang of scraps, and but I've never been stabbed,
Yeah.
and I never want to be, But
Yeah.
when I was in grade school, some kid stabbed me with a pencil, but that's not even comparable. So how many times did somebody like do that to you?
That was just on that time.
And then you ended up you said stabbing somebody. Like what was that about?
Yeah, so one of my at the time, one of the guys that I knew that was we was in a disciple uh structure together, so we were hanging around each other because what stuff we were doing, we had to do. But anyway, he was another guy I knew, he was a blood. Me and him, I've been knowing him since I got in the system. We were cool. It was a big old black dude too, but he had to be about 6'4",
Big old
two.
boy.
He was a big dude. He was out of a place called Selma, Alabama. They
Yep.
country up there. They big
Yep.
country people up there. But anyway, and he was all right. I ain't gonna so much say that we was beefing because we wasn't beefing. But the guy that was disciple dude, he wasn't so much so like he hid behind the game pretty much.
He's a
So
movie star gangster.
but he played, for what we were doing back then, he played an important role. You know what I'm saying? So he had access to stuff that they needed, and you know how that go. Anyway, so he had a phone. This was all about a phone. He had a phone,
Oh yeah.
but to him and the guy, the blood, they were from the same area. You know what I'm saying? He would let him use the phone, but then I guess he kept asking too much, so he stopped letting him use the phone, or lied to him like, yeah, I'm gonna let you use the phone, but then don't let him use the phone, blah blah blah. So on this particular day, like I said, we all in cells. So anybody know about like West Jefferson, Donaldson? They know how they prison structured anyway. But we was in my cell at the time, and he was on the phone in my cell, and then the guy come, he come in my cell. Like I said, we were cool up until that day. He come in my cell, and he asked him to use the phone, and he told him no. So there's another guy. He was from Selma too, but he was disciple. He was just another branch of disciple. And I guess him and the guy that was blood was talking, and he mentioned to him that he was gonna rob him. So I guess when he got away from around the blood guy, he came in there and told us, "Hey, what's the name finna try to rob you?" Blah blah blah. So I had I always kept a knife with me because prison was just dangerous. You know what I'm saying? You had to keep some type of form of protection. Especially after that event when I got stabbed, I always kept some after that. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, he come back. We had his shirt off and everything like that. So he was finna attempt to rob him in my cell. If anybody done been locked up, man, that's literally no. You don't just walk into somebody's cell attempt to rob somebody. You didn't even come to me and ask. You know what I'm saying? Like if you would have came to me and asked,
Yeah.
it'd have been different. Yeah, I would have been like, yeah, you can go ahead and do it. Or, you know what I'm saying? Me crossing the man out, but I wouldn't have done it anyway. I would have told you, nah, bro, you can't come in my cell. So he did it. So I had to protect my respect in prison. You know what I'm saying? Because the people see that, oh dang, you allow somebody to come in your cell and do what they want to do. Well, you'll get tried. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Yep.
so I ran him out. When he saw the knife, he ran out the cell, he was running backward, and there was some benches that was out there in the day room or whatever, and he just fell, slap dab in the middle of them, and I just straddled him. I don't know how many times I stabbed him, like a lot of times, like I stabbed him, I almost killed him. Like if okay, so when he got stabbed, I stabbed him in the sternum. Like his whole sternum just. I ain't really talking about all this on here, but his sternum just like really swelled up. Like he was stabbed a good bit. Anyway, he ended up going into a cell, but the police seen that the police peeped that it was something going on. And what they do, like when they feel like it's something going on, they just come out the cube and they'll walk every cell. You know what I'm saying? And they walked every cell, and they found him in there. And then, because if they wouldn't have found him, he would have died. Like literally, he would have died.
So
So
he didn't
that
run
was
to the door for help.
no,
He
no, no,
just
no, nah. Because they got the old prison doctor. They'll stitch you up in the cells. You know what I'm saying?
really.
But
Oh.
yeah, they'll do that. But his is just too severe for that to happen. But then, so they drag him out of there, and
Hold on.
then
So what did you hit him with? Like what type of weapon did you
it was
have?
just a knife. It was a knife, like not a regular knife, like a prison made knife,
Out of
like that
plastic,
big.
metal? Like,
No
how did you
metal.
make it? How did you make
I
you
didn't make it. You just buy them. Like people they make them in prison.
you got knives on demand in there?
Oh yeah, dang. Make
That's a
them
prison hustle now.
oh yeah.
Wow.
They make them, man. They make them out of you know how the beds in prison is, the
Yep.
bunk beds and yeah. Like you go to the county, they'll break them beds down, man, and make knives out of them. They'll
So
find
what
something to make a knife, a weapon out of.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I've seen guys, they're always hiding nails and screws and pieces of
Yeah,
metal and like on the yard. So they'll hide it in the dirt and then they'll
yeah.
go out and get it later. Like on the West Coast, they're like I've heard stories of people keystering knives and
Hmm.
then having them come out. Like it's just crazy what people would do but that sounds horrific to me. That's really does. so
Yeah, yeah.
so the guy got wheeled out. He didn't tell on you, apparently.
But I'm not gonna say he didn't. 'Cause I don't know.
Okay.
I never know because not too long. They drug people out. They got him out, but then they do their own little investigation. So they started sending people out to the dorm. And then, not too long after they knew it was me, they came and got me or whatever, blase. And I end up getting charged for assault. I didn't get no another charge or anything for it. But I did go to lockup. Did like 14 months in lockup.
Oh, you did a
I
program.
no, 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 no. I went to lockup.
Is that
14
like
months.
being
Like,
in the hole?
yeah,
Yeah. In the West Coast, we call that the shoe. We call
yeah.
that the hole.
Okay.
And then
Yeah,
when
but they.
it's called a program is what it's called.
Oh,
You can
okay,
get a
okay, okay.
6 month program. You can get 90 days. You can get a year. Just depends on the severity of what you've done.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. In Alabama, automatically, like, stabbing case, you're gonna do 12 months or better. So I did like 13, almost 14 months. But I would
Yeah.
say, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, what's that like? Like you're in the hole. Explain to the viewing audience like what you're spending over a year in what's called the
Just a
hole,
one
or
man cell. It's just one man cell. You might well say you can say 23-hour lockdown, but it's really 24. Like, you're not going. You don't pretty much you'll go outside maybe once or twice a week.
and when you say outside, where is outside?
Like just behind it where they just have you shackled, handcuffed, and you may walk around for like 30 minutes, maybe an hour,
Yeah.
depending. Then they put you right back in your cell, and you just in your cell. You just in your
Yeah.
cell. So,
I think when as I think about what you're saying is like I think there's some pros and some cons to being in the hole.
oh yeah,
I
I can get to that.
Okay.
Probably like the first couple months, man, it was rough because I ain't never been isolated by myself like this. So like the first couple months was rough. Food was rough. I mean, the food was always rough, but now it's like you more so got to pretty much eat it because like when I first got in there, I was they discipline you for what you do. So I had like maybe like 3 or 4 months where like they took my commissary away, so I wasn't able to like, saying kit store and get any items and stuff like that. So I was pretty much
Yep.
just eating. I had to eat the meals that they gave every day in order to survive. You know what I'm saying? And so like I said, probably the first couple months it was rough. But as I sat in there, the more time I sat in there, I started discovering a lot of stuff about myself. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the that was the start of who I am today. I would say that was the best time of my life. You know what I'm saying? Because under the circumstances, but it was still the best time of my life because I've never in my life had a moment, had times to spend with myself to actually get, you know what I'm saying, to get to know myself. I don't know, you look like you're stuck.
Sorry, you're cutting out. Back up a little bit. Hello. So would you say so we're back you're in the hole. You're saying this is some of the best time that you've had. Is it because you're able to self-reflect for the first time, or is this is like your transformation moment, or so to speak,
Yeah,
right? Is that
yeah.
safe to say?
Yeah. Yeah, because it was like the first time in my life I was actually able to deal with myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't run from myself no more because it wasn't number four walls. Because like you know how like you'll be living a lifestyle, but you'll be like, man, but it be something in you be like you really don't tired of it. You know what I'm saying? Like you have this feeling of hurt within yourself, like, cause you could be doing better. Cause you can feel a part of yourself that's trying to come out you, but you just steady being influenced or you steady making bad decisions. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, when I got at that point, I was able to unlock that part of me that was trying to come out because I didn't have the influence no more. I didn't have nothing to deter my decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then I was able to just literally analyze my life as far as I can go back. And it's like at that point, I always would see like, dang, bro, like my decisions, because I'll be like, I look back, like my mama getting older, my daddy getting older, my auntie getting older. And that was the most hurtful thing for me. That was like one of my biggest fears when I was incarcerated was them passing away while I was locked up. You know what I'm saying? But I was sad, but I still would be doing stupid stuff. So, at that point, I ain't gonna say I didn't love them, but I didn't love them enough to make the necessary changes. You know what I'm saying? So, but to going back to my time in the cell, it was like now I'm starting to gradually see that my decisions that I'm making, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't only affect me because not only I'm suffering in here, I got family out here suffering too because of my decisions. You know what I'm saying? And they
Yeah.
hurting too because of my decision. So it's like when I start changing my thought on that, man, and I start saying, but I got to start making better decisions, man, because these people need me. You know what I'm saying? I need myself too. So in order for me to get out there, man, my whole thought pattern, it gonna have to change. And I know it can't be nothing. It ain't nothing but God that allowed me to start saying stuff differently. I told myself, man, I got to quit hanging around certain type of people. You know what I'm saying? If you're not living a productive lifestyle, I can't hang around you. If I can't be around you and you can't elevate me, I can't be around you. We can't feed off one another and teach each other how to be, because I'm around men. So if I can't teach you, if we can't teach each other how to be better men, I can't allow myself to be around anything that's gonna set me back from where I'm trying to go. So like I built enough respect in prison, man, over the time of me being enough that when I explained to them, and some people I explained to, and some people I didn't, but when they saw it, they started to see my walk. They started to see how I started to move. I mean, they ain't do nothing but respect it. You know what I'm saying? They were still trying to get me to do certain stuff, but when I stood on my 10 about me doing what I said I was going to do, and I did it. You know what I'm saying? And
Sounds like you were keeping your the commitments that you made to yourself. You started to keep those things. And
yeah,
what I love about what you said, I've done a program in lockup as well. Not as long as you. I mean, 14 months is a long time.
yeah,
But I did an entire summer. I did 3 months in the hole. And I just remember you can only do so many push-ups a day. And you
yeah.
really are able to self-reflect. And I felt the spirit tell, when you said that, is that you said it was nothing but God that helped you change. And I feel like when people are really willing, and maybe you agree with this, when people, once they're really, really willing to change, they have to really want it.
Yeah, you got
And
one, yeah.
you can't just kind of want it. You can't just like, well, you have to literally really want it with almost everything that you have to make a change. And then in that moment, God makes it happen because God can make things happen whenever he wants, but it's almost like
Yeah,
he's never going to force it on you.
yeah,
So I love that, man. And it's like we have to come to these moments of like, dude, I can't do this anymore. And some people
yeah,
never figure that out or they figure it out too late. So, when you said that, I really felt that. And
yeah.
so you get out, like you're going in there and then you get out and you start walking different. I understand that part too, because people are still going to kind of try you a little bit, but as long as you
No,
don't,
I wasn't getting tried in no kind of way. It was just like they were just like
I
trying to
mean,
push
influence wise,
drugs. Yeah, yeah, like push
influence
drugs on me.
wise. Yeah.
Yeah. They're trying to
Like they're
influence me to
still
try to
going to,
get back into that lifestyle. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's what I meant by trying you. It's like
yeah, I
not
feel you.
everybody in there's going to accept your change, and it sounds like a lot of people did, but not everybody in prison is trying to go in that direction, and that's what makes it difficult.
Yeah.
Is that I think, but so you spent so now what year is this? Once you've had this transformation and you're starting to trying to make different decisions, what year are you at into your 17-year sentence?
Mm. I would say around like maybe.
What's that? Say it one more time.
No. Probably like 2013. I would say 13. I think 14, something
Okay.
like that. One of them years.
So you still had a little bit of time left to do.
Oh yeah. I still had time left to go.
Were there other factors involved that helped you? Like for me, for example, a big thing that helped me was once I started having good behavior, I started getting lower custody levels that I could qualify
Yeah,
for.
that's
And is that what happened? Okay.
yeah. But I started getting into
So,
programs. I got into programs, and I actually, I moved to a lot of my places that I was living. My head, like, where I would place my head at was what they call like faith-based dorms. And I was, I would get into the programs in the dorms and stuff like that. So and everything was, biblical programs and, just anything that would help me, become better. A lot of, self-help programs I would involve myself in, stuff like that. And you know what I'm saying? Just I had a lot of friends of mine a lot of these guys had life without parole, wasn't never getting out of prison. And you know, they helped me. You know what I'm saying? They helped me see the bigger picture because like I was able to see these guys, man. Some of them got out, you know, some of them just, you know, unfortunately would never get out. You know what I'm saying? Just seeing them, you know what I'm saying, even knowing that they could possibly not get out of prison, they still walk the walk like they was getting out any day. You know what I'm saying? And they still carry themselves a certain way, regardless of what what the system telling them or what the law telling them. They fought. You know, and some of these guys still fight to this day. But you know, they live by a certain moral code. They not gonna live they not gonna go and live back in that lifestyle that led them there. They gonna live the most prosperous way that they possibly can. Like they gonna live their life right. They gonna stay on course. So me seeing that, you know, and like I told you, this go back to me being young and didn't have that certain influence. So I was in my 20s, but this when I first actually just started recognizing a man and the way he moves throughout life, even though it was in the environment that I was in, but I was able to now set myself up to like, dang, okay, this how a man carry themselves. You know what I'm saying? So it's like now I started to, you know, of course, reading and like I said, being in programs and like I said, seeing guys under their circumstances still live a way of life that, you know, that I was looking for. That will help
They
me.
weren't just living that way to, sorry if my microphone's too loud too, but
Nah, you
so it
good.
sounds like they weren't living that way in hopes that, okay, if I'm good, they'll give me a release date. It's actually who they were
That's
and
who they
how they
was.
were
Yeah,
trying to. And so,
yeah,
and
most
that's
definitely.
awesome, man. I've met people like that. And one other thing too, my question would be, what are some of the, you said you started reading books, like, was it like the
Yeah.
Bible or what type of books were you reading?
Yeah, of course I was reading the Bible, and a lot of them was like, you know, just like I can't remember the authors and stuff, but they were more just anything that was like self help. You know what I'm saying? Like I was more on a self help journey at that time. Like I would read a
Yeah.
lot of books that was just anything that would help me, you know, become more mature. So then you know, I got to a point where I started trying to, you know, read things on, you know, getting out of prison. You know what I'm saying, and creating assets or you know, building, trying to, you know, build for solid foundation, excuse me, you know, things like that. You know, anything that I feel like that can help me. And some stuff, everything, you know, might not help me, but you know, the saying like, eat the meat, throw away the bones, stuff like that. So I would take what I would take out of and just apply it to my, you know, apply it to my life and, you know, pretty much see where it take me.
I feel like, when men turn their sights to the Lord and turn their lives over to him, and I don't know if that's kind of like how you would word that, but for me, it's like God can teach you how to be a man. And if you
Yeah,
follow those things, I know it sounds corny to a lot of people. Like it sounds like, but the truth is God can make more of your life than you can by yourself. And if you live the way that you ought to, God will teach you how to be a man,
yeah.
because would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, yeah. I most definitely can agree with that because you know it's. I mean, pretty much, you know, the Bible is pretty much it's a way of life, you know. And if you follow the direction, it's gonna make you. You're gonna become if you do it wholeheartedly, you're gonna become the best version of yourself. It's just there's no way around not becoming the best version of yourself. You just follow it. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, it's a way of life. And it's a
Yeah.
lifestyle that can only make you a better person.
Yeah, I feel like there's, because I started getting in trouble very young too, and I've unpacked like why did all of this happen, and all the guys that I interview, especially you, it seems like the opposition is attacking young men and just people in general at an early age and confusing us through drugs and alcohol and all these different negative things to ultimately, in my opinion, make us forget who we are or what we're here to do, right? And
Yeah,
some of
that's
us
all
don't.
by design, though.
So, man, and so you're going through this and you have stacking years of self-help and, it sounds like, better places where there's not so much politics, which gives you hopefully less anxiety and you're able to grow more in those environments
Hmm.
versus, you know, what we just talked about.
Yeah.
So you spend years there. At what point? So you get out. Was there any other like bumps in the road during that time, or were you pretty much like, okay, I know when I'm getting out, and that's what I'm working towards, and then you get released?
Yeah, like I mean, I always was like transitioning downward, like for the good. Because once I left that max prison, I went to like a what they call level 4 institution. So I was there. I got into trade. I got taking welding. I got welding certificate. So I was in a faith-based dorm there too, also. So most like I was in welding when I was at that particular prison, and then I ended up getting transitioned into like a work camp, stuff like that. So once I got to the work camp, that's why I was at till I got out. I got
Yeah.
ended up getting my CDLs while incarcerated at the work. Matter of fact, at the work camp that I left prison.
Shoot, yeah, everyone's leaving. Everyone's going home from a work camp. That
Yeah,
where I'm
pretty
from, it's like maybe I think you're 4 years and under if you're at a work camp where I'm from. So
yeah. I think it's something. I
yeah,
think it's
man.
something like that too. I'm not sure.
You got out, man, and you released. Like, tell me, like when you got released. Obviously, you're in a better mindset than when you first went in. 17 years is a long time, and there's a lot of lessons a lot of things you went through that can't be covered in an hour phone call. But when you
Mhm.
got out, what was it like the first day getting out?
It was a surreal moment. I'm gonna say this. So when I was locked up, I was at work camp. So and they got another, just a little lesser. You get more privileges. They call work release. So I was working like regular jobs. So we would leave out the camp every day and go out and into society. And then like I was going home on a weekend and stuff like that too. So I already kind of had
Okay.
a feel of society. I just wasn't set all the way free.
Yeah.
So, but even still, when I got out, it was a moment when I knew, like, because even going up for parole in Alabama, and it's 50-50. You know what I'm saying? Because like even like I said, even being a lot of people making your percentage wise, if you making it at a work camp, yeah, it's greater, but it's not necessarily you're gonna make it. This in Alabama, man. So like I was still weary because I'd have been up before, and the last time I went up, I was more so worried about my family being hurt than me. 'Cause I had already been to my 17-year mark, so I'm like, man, if they set me off and I got to do the rest of the time, so be it. Because I already had my mind just set up to whatever happened, man. I was just like, I asked God, man, just for my family's sake. Don't even do it for me, just for my family's sake, so they don't have to go through this pain no more. Release me. It happened. I got out. Like I said, it was that weight of knowing that I don't have to be conditioned to this what I was conditioned to no longer. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the relief. I
Yeah.
took advantage of it. I've been taking advantage of it ever since. So
Yeah, you know what? I feel like so much like I feel like I'm walking in your shoes being released because there's a saying that there's only 2 days that you do in prison, and that's the day you get locked up and the day you get out. And
mm,
everything else in between is like, what just happened? Right. And I love your story. I get emotional thinking about it in my own life. Sorry. Because there's a lot of things, not everything, but there's some things that I can relate to.
yeah,
What a gift. It's like we go through these hard things and we don't know that these can potentially be some of the biggest gifts in our life if we learn from it. The fact that you didn't have to go do 3 more years and you got paroled is another gift.
yeah,
And ultimately you're out there, you could just decide like a lot of people, this is too much and just give up and go wild out again. But to me, I see you and I'm very inspired by your story because you're out there going after it and you're not making excuses and you're, making up, as you said earlier when we first started, making up for the lost time. But you're
yeah,
doing great, dude, and I'm super proud of you and I'm super thankful for the time that you spent talking to me and explaining your story because your story has a lot of value to help other people. If I'm feeling it, I'm sure someone else watching this would feel the power of your message too. So again, I appreciate you coming on here and going over all this. But is there anything else like since you've been out? What other? Because I actually met you
yeah.
I met you through the Latter Day Saint missionaries and knocking on your door, and
Yeah.
spent some time in the gym with you and learned a little bit about you. But is there any other, if one of the viewing audience, if you could talk to a younger man or to your younger self who's struggling with all the stuff that you were struggling with as a young man, what would you tell them?
I would say just don't be influenced, man. You know, because like one thing about it, like all this stuff that people like me say that we done been through, and we just got caught up in a trap that they just set out. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to be, you don't have to go through life like this. You don't have to make bad decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like you can make good decisions in life, man, and be successful. You don't have to go through no dark side of life just to, have a bunch of years of your life taken away from you just to, eventually make a decision to start doing better. I mean, you can do better now. You can make a decision because that's all life, man. Life is the daily decision, man. What you choose to do in life every day is a daily decision, man. And one thing about life, man, it's gonna be some hardship. There's gonna be some hard breaks. It's just life is full of adversity, but it's just you being resilient, man, and knowing that. So you have to know that life gonna come with its ups and downs. If you're not aware of that, that's where your trouble gonna come in because when it hits you, you're not prepared for it. Be prepared for stuff to happen. So when it does happen, you know this. So guess what? You just know if it happened, you just gotta pick back up again. Pick back up where you left off. Don't 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 beat yourself up. You know what I'm saying? Don't feel like just because something happened, you ain't good enough to do it or you can't do it. You can do whatever you put your energy towards. Just as well as somebody can go out here and sell drugs or be a womanizer. That same energy, because it's the same energy. It's just where you directing it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If you got a lot of people that's angry out here right now. You got a lot of people that deal with stuff. Channel that energy. Channel that anger. You can turn your anger into some positivity. Channel that negative anger to doing something positive and just see where it takes you. Because I mean, I'm gonna say this, man. Living right is not easy and it's not hard. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to do. It's so easy to live wrong, but it's hard to get up every day and make the best decision that's gonna help you be better each and every day. 'Cause that's all about, man. Just try to be a better version of yourself each and every day. You know what I'm saying? And just don't let nobody knock you off your square. Don't let nobody tell you can't, because you can. I've been told I can't plenty of time from family, from being in school, from prison guards. I mean, whoever. They've told me I wasn't gonna amount to nothing. But I didn't let yeah, at times I did, but now today ain't nothing you could tell me about myself negative, and I feel that way. Nah, cause I know I'm able. I know cause I'm an able body. I got legs, I got arms, I got a mouth. I can see, I can hear. So I'm able, just as well as you able. So man, just stay positive. Man. Just stay positive and come up with a plan and stick to it. That's really
Yeah.
all I got to say.
Thanks, Taurus.
Oh yeah,
I've felt every word of it. And I think, a lot of young men struggle with self worth and self confidence. And I think that, that we could talk about this for hours and dive into deep psychology of why it all happens. But,
yeah,
I think that what you're saying, it reminds me of a quote that our former president of our church said. He said, like, life has less to do. I don't know if I'm quoting it right, but life has less to do with the circumstances of our lives, but everything to do with the focus of our lives.
yeah.
And for me, that oftentimes in my life, I'm like, I'm so even, and you're right, living life out here is much harder.
Oh yeah,
Being
oh yeah.
responsible is harder,
Hard to
but
be
it's more
responsible, bro.
rewarding. And I get so overwhelmed sometimes, even in real life. But really, where is your focus? Where are you focusing your, as you said, energy? Because you
Hmm.
can focus the energy on the negative, or you can focus it on the positive. And I do wish, when I was a young man, that I also had a little bit more mentorship, or that I don't even know if I would have accepted the mentorship when I was a kid,
Yeah,
I don't know if I would have, but I am a big believer that when the student is ready, and only when the student is ready, will the teacher appear. And so I'm so thankful to have met you, Taurus, and thankful to hear your story. And I'm thankful to be able to be free out here with you today and talk about it. And so this would just be one conversation of many conversations.
Yeah.
So to close this up, I just want to tell everybody, Taurus's story is a story of, grit and determination, a lot of failure, but a big, big transformation in a real way. And so anyone watching this, wherever you're at in your life currently in your journey, Taurus's story is one that is living proof that you can come from the bottom and make a humongous comeback. So super proud of you, Taurus, and I appreciate you being on here today on the Consecrate podcast.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right, brother, hold on.